24-year-old Valerie Reyes, a free spirit, aspiring tattoo artist and passionate book lover, had an unsettling premonition about her own death.
She was really scared, very frightened. That Monday night conversation we had, she was just really scared, very frightened, like I said, and fearing for her life.
We have breaking news in this very troubling case. Police now identify the victim as 24-year-old Valerie Reyes of New Rochelle, New York. Her body was found earlier this week on the side of the road, the quiet road in Greenwich, Connecticut. She was discovered inside a red suitcase. Her hands and feet were bound.
The gruesome truth devastated a family and shocked a nation.
My daughter did not deserve whatever you did to her. My daughter was pure.
Valerie Reyes was born on April 1994 in Rochelle, New York. She was born into a loving and close-knit family. As the eldest of 4 siblings and the only daughter, Valerie had a special place in the family and was a source of inspiration for her younger brothers. Her parents instilled in her a strong sense of family values. She had a warm, nurturing spirit, and although she lived independently, she spent every Sunday with her family. Valerie was especially close to her mother, Norma Sanchez, who she often confided in and leaned on for guidance, especially during her periods of anxiety and depression. At the age of 24, she had been working as a sales associate at Barnes & Noble, a renowned bookstore. She had worked there for approximately 3 years. Her friendly demeanour and dedication earned her the affection of both customers and co-workers. Valerie often chose the comfort of reading a captivating story indoors over the hustle and bustle of social outings. Beyond her work at the bookstore, Valerie dreamed of a career as a tattoo artist. She was passionate about skin art and had 3 tattoos herself. She often created her own sketches and designs, which reflected her keen eye for detail and passion for creativity. On the evening of January the 27th, 2019, a panicked Valerie called her mother, Norma Sanchez. Valerie was frantic during the call. She told her mother, "I feel like someone is going to kill me." When her mother pressed her for details, Valerie was unable or unwilling to say who or why she felt this way. Norma tried to comfort her daughter as best as she could, reassuring her that everything would be okay. But Valerie remained distressed. She expressed vague feelings of paranoia and dread, mentioning that she felt unsafe in her apartment and uneasy about her surroundings. Valerie had broken up with her boyfriend, Javier de Silva Rojas, just 5 days before the phone call, so Norma gently asked if her ex had been at the house or had said anything to upset her, to which Valerie replied, no. The two talked things through and ultimately decided it was likely just stress and anxiety taking a toll. Valerie mentioned that she had work the next morning, so they wrapped up the conversation, said their goodbyes, and as usual made plans for Sunday. Valerie's mother felt assured that Javier was not an aggressive or dangerous man. There had been no signs of threatening or abusive behaviour during her daughter's relationship, at least none that Valerie had ever shared with her. In fact, Javier had come across polite and soft-spoken, though he sometimes seemed a little withdrawn. Valerie first met Javier, a Venezuelan immigrant living in the US, through an online dating app in early 2018. Javier was born January 3rd, 1995, and was a few months younger than her. He had come to the United States seeking better opportunities, fleeing the turmoil in his home country. However, after his 90-day visa expired, Javier continued to stay in the US illegally. Initially, Valerie was excited about the connection she had formed with Javier. She spoke to her mother about his intelligence and the shared interest that had sparked their early conversations. They quickly developed a casual relationship, and Valerie even brought Javier to a few family gatherings. However, as the relationship progressed, Valerie confided in her mother about struggling with Javier. He wanted to move in together, but Valerie wasn't ready. Finding his pushiness off-putting, by late 2018, Valerie ended the relationship, feeling it had run its course. Circling back to the phone call, the next morning, January the 28th, 2019, Valerie failed to show up for work at the Barnes & Noble bookstore. This behaviour immediately raised alarm bells by her colleagues, and her family was notified. By January the 30th, 2019, after 2 days with no contact, Valerie was officially reported missing by her parents and new boyfriend. Friends and family and co-workers launched search efforts, distributing missing posters and appealing to the public for information that might lead to her whereabouts. Witnesses also came forward who claimed they had seen Valerie on her way to work, adding to the mystery. Due to an increase in crimes against women, in the New Rochelle area, her family hired a private investigator and an FBI agent quickly became involved. Authorities discovered several personal items were missing from her home. One of these items was her passport. This was unusual because Valerie had no immediate travel plan, and the family confirmed she typically kept it stored safely. Her wallet formed personal documents, and more chillingly, her bedding was also missing. This raised the questions: did she leave on her own free will, or had she been taken? One of the most significant breakthroughs came when agents discovered suspicious activity in Valerie's bank account. These transactions were unusual and inconsistent with her normal spending habits. With thousands of dollars withdrawn from her ATM, authorities traced the activity and reviewed the grainy, unclear footage from the ATM, which showed a man in dark clothes and black sneakers making the withdrawals. Despite numerous attempts to find Valerie, her whereabouts remained unknown. That changed on February the 5th, 2019, when a packed red suitcase was discovered near a wooded area in Greenwich, Connecticut, by workers clearing debris along the roadside. Initially, the workers assumed it was simply disregarded luggage, but upon opening it, they made a grim discovery and immediately contacted local law enforcement. Inside was the body of a woman, barefoot, with a shirt unbuttoned and wearing denim jeans. Her hands were bound behind her back and her feet were tied. There were visible injuries to her head. Her mouth was also covered with multiple layers of packing tape, revealing the horrific and violent nature of her death. Investigators later identified the remains of Valerie's through fingerprints and dental records. Valerie's body was found approximately 13 miles from her home, and the following day her father and brother were tasked with the heartbreaking duty of formally identifying her, bringing unimaginable grief to her family. Adding to their anguish, it was later revealed that one of the workers who discovered the suitcase had taken pictures of Valerie's body and shared them with others, a truly heartless act. As law enforcement reviewed hours of surveillance footage, including that from the ATM withdrawal, they obtained clearer CCTV footage from surrounding areas. This allowed them to confirm that the individual using Valerie's card was her ex-boyfriend, Javier De Silva.
Ever since Valerie Reyes was found deceased in Greenwich on February 5th, Greenwich police have been working closely with police from New Rochelle, New York. Several crime scenes have been examined, hours of surveillance video have been reviewed, and numerous interviews conducted. Detectives from both agencies have pursued a multitude of leads. There has been intense focus on the use of Valerie's ATM card, after which we believe she was murdered. This line of investigation, corroborated by others, led us to a suspect. Last night in Queens, New York, detectives from New Rochelle, accompanied by detectives from the Greenwich Police Department, located and arrested a suspect in the fraudulent use of Valerie's ATM card. This same suspect was interviewed jointly by Greenwich and New Rochelle detectives and admitted a role in the death of Valerie Reyes.
Subsequently, on February the 11th, 2019, Javier was arrested at his apartment and taken into custody. At the time of the arrest, Javier had Valerie's bank card and driving license in his possession. Confronted with the mounting evidence, he initially confessed to using her stolen credit cards, but denied involvement in her murder. Under pressure, then he claimed that she hit her head during an intimate encounter, causing him to panic, stuff her in a suitcase and dump her body. This story was not believed either, and he later provided an alternative version of events, while still maintaining her death was accidental. So what exactly happened to Valerie? At approximately 10:50 p.m, Javier left his apartment in Queens, New York as captured on CCTV footage. He drove to Valerie's home using a rental vehicle, deliberately switching his phone to aeroplane mode to avoid detection. Once there, Javier entered the property, likely by force, and an argument ensued. During the confrontation, the situation escalated into violence, leaving Valerie with severe head injuries, including a large hematoma on her forehead. In the aftermath, Javier bound Valerie's hands and feet with twine and covered her mouth with packing tape, leaving her completely helpless. He used her fingerprints to unlock her phone, accessing her messages, browser history, photos and online banking before placing the phone in aeroplane mode. While Valerie was still alive and severely injured, he forcibly shoved a 5'3" frame into a red suitcase, creating a horrifying and claustrophobic ordeal. Javier then drove toward Greenwich, Connecticut, stopping at the ATM along the way to withdraw thousands using a bank card. Upon reaching the wooded area in Greenwich, he dumped the suitcase containing Valerie, leaving her bound and trapped inside. The next morning around 9 a.m, Javier returned home, Surveillance footage showed him wearing a different outfit from the previous night. He meticulously cleaned the rental vehicle before returning it, attempting to erase any physical evidence of his actions. At any point, Javier could have returned to the scene to free Valerie, but he chose not to, adding to his callousness. Tragically, Valerie's body was discovered 8 days later on February the 5th, 2019. While it remains unclear how long she survived in the suitcase, the circumstances of her death are harrowing. She suffered severe injuries, likely leaving her in excruciating pain and disorientated. The claustrophobic confines of the suitcase, with her hands and feet bound and her mouth taped shut, meant Valerie couldn't move, cry for help, or defend herself. The freezing January temperatures in Connecticut likely worsened her suffering, and hypothermia may have set in, further weakening her. The lack of air circulation combined with the injuries would have made survival almost impossible, leaving her to endure a truly agonizing final ordeal. Javier showed no remorse following the crime, and whilst the devastated family and friends sought to find her, Javier sold items he had stolen from her home and used the money to purchase an Apple monitor and a laptop, even taking a photo to mark the occasion. Tragically, Valerie's body was discovered 8 days later on February the 5th, 2019.
We have breaking news in this very troubling case. Police now identify the victim as 24-year-old Valerie Reyes of New Rochelle, New York. Her body was found earlier this week on the side of the road, the quiet road in Greenwich, Connecticut. She was discovered inside a red suitcase. Her hands and feet were bound.
Connecticut Medical Examiner's Office later concluded that Valerie died of blunt force trauma and homicidal asphyxiation. Forensic evidence corroborated this and showed Javier's DNA all over the red suitcase, as well as on her private parts, breasts. Subsequently, on February the 12th, 2019, Javier was charged with kidnapping resulting in death, aggravated identity theft, and fraudulent use of credit cards. Less than a year later, on February the 5th, 2020, Javier De Silva pleaded guilty to the kidnapping resulting in death charge. As part of his plea deal, he admitted to abducting Valerie Reyes, restraining her, and causing her death during the course of a kidnapping. And in September 2021, Javier was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. The plea agreement spared him from a potential life sentence or the death penalty. The motive of Javier are clear. They were that of jealousy and greed. He could not take the fact that Valerie had moved on to another relationship. Valerie's mother made an impact statement to the court where she said the following: "Our mother never wants to face a terrible day like this. It would take me a day to describe the joy that Valerie brought into our lives. My boys are all heartbroken and devastated." She then turned to Javier De Silva and said the following: "You are a selfish, greedy and soulless person. Today I hope that Valerie finds the justice she deserves." U.S. District Judge Vincent Brissetti delivered a scathing rebuke. The judge stated, "What you did to this woman is sickening. Anyone who can do such a thing is not a good person by definition. Justice requires an evil deed to be punished by a lengthy prison sentence." Valerie Reyes was laid to rest at Greenwood Union Cemetery in Ray, New York, surrounded by her grieving family and friends. In the wake of her tragic passing, her family and friends organized several heartfelt tributes to honor her memory, including candlelight vigil in Spanish, to honor her family's heritage and connect with the broader Spanish-speaking community. The vigil served as a powerful moment for those who loved Valerie to come together in their grief, reflecting on her life and the impact she had on everyone around her. She was a free spirit, kind-hearted and loved. She was taken in the most senseless and evil way, leaving her parents and brothers truly devastated by the loss and the cruel fate she endured. I pray that Valerie is in a better place and her family and friends find peace. Thank you for watching my video. As a new content creator, your support means so much, so please don't forget to like and subscribe, and enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe.